Does anybody have any question? Or I'll sit. What did we discuss last time? What was the last thing we discussed?
I think how to insert values into tables.
Okay. So today we'll discuss about constraints. How can we enforce conditions on tables, that while inserting some rows that we can have some conditions. So these are the constraints: not null, unique, check. All these will be discussed today. Set line 130 pages 30. Cool, then so we have these tables in our schema. Sure, user will tell you to which schema you're connected. So you're connected to Scott schema. Now if you guys remember this table employee, we have this one column with not null constraints. So now we'll discuss how to set them and what is the importance of these constraints in our tables. Right, so we'll start with not null, the first constraint. So we'll create a table, create table T2, bracket open, C1, number, column name, and then data types. After that, we'll mention the constraint not null, comma C2, number. So on column C2, there is no constraints. Bracket close, slash, enter table created. Describe this table. So you'll see the C1 is not null and C2 is as such blank. Right. So now how does it work? We'll see that. Insert into T2 values. So 1, 2, one row created, commit. So this row is permanently inserted, right? Select star from T2. So we have this one row as of now. Now we'll try to insert some null values and see if it works. Insert into T2 values null, 3. So it says cannot insert null into T2, T2 dot C1. So schema is Scott, table name is T2, column name is C1. So we cannot insert null values in this column. Why? Because we have used constraints, right? If there was no constraint, we were able to insert this row. But now we have it, we cannot. So now using these constraints, we can force users that they will not insert any null values, because null values does not have any impact on this. So there's no point that we'll have the null values. So it's better to keep this column as a not null constraint so that people will not insert any not null values. That's the benefit of using constraint. Right, so we can also modify the other column, alter table C2, T2, sorry, modify column C2 not null. So table has been altered. Describe T2 and see now both the columns are not null. So we cannot insert null values in any of these columns. Two comma null. So cannot insert Scott T2.C2. So we cannot have null values in C2 column also now. If you try to insert any particular value, insert into T2 values 3, 4, it will be inserted without any problem. Commit, select star from T2. So we have this values. So that's the benefit. So let's add one more column. Alter table T2, add C3 number. We can also alter the table if in case we would like to add any column. So table alter, describe T2 So now we have 3 columns where we have 2 columns C1 and C2 with not null constraint. C3 is free as of now, there is no constraint. We can insert values. Right? Now if you try to insert values in this table, insert into T2 values, so 1, 3, null. So one row created. Why? Because C3 does not have any constraint. So we can insert null values. Commit, select, start from T2. You'll see I inserted this row with null values, so it doesn't have any problem. Now if in case I will try to alter this column, alter table T2, modify C3 not null. So what will happen? We are trying to alter this table and we are trying to make this column also not null. We cannot do that. Why? Because we already have one null values. So we cannot force this column to be not null because we already have null values. So what best can be done? We have to remove all these columns where we have null values, and then we can make this column as not null. Right? So unless I'll remove this all these rows, we cannot have this column as not null. Right? Because it will check all those values where we currently have null values. Right? Describe T2, alter table T2, modify C2 null. So describe T2. I changed back this column from not null to null. Right? It happened because all those conditions were matching with this. Right? So we can change our constraint if the condition matches with the existing values. We will be able to change it. Otherwise, it will throw an error like this. So we have to bother about all those values which we currently have in the table. In the current values which we have in the table and the value we are going to change the table do not have any conflict, then it will work. Otherwise, you will see the error and then you have to work around with, you have to find out the workaround for this problem. Right, alter table T2, modify C1 null, describe T2. So we changed all these columns to have null values. We can remove constraints also if in case we want to. Okay, so this was the first constraint, not null. The second constraint we'll talk about now. Create table T3. C1 is column name, number is data types, space. Now the second one is unique. comma C2 number. Right, we created this table. Going to describe T3. In this case, you will not be able to see what type of constraint we have. But if in case there is any problem with this, then we'll get to see the error on the screen. Right. So C1 number is unique now. So that means this column cannot have any non-unique values. So once the value is inserted, we cannot have the same value. Right. We'll see. Insert into T3 values. So 1, 2 inserted. 3, 4, 5, 6. Commit. Select star from T3. So we have these rows. Now I will try to insert something which is already there. So now in this table, if I try to insert 1, 3, 5 value again, I will see what happens. So let's say I try this 1, 7, right? Because the column C1 is unique, it will say unique constraint violated. Because it's violating this condition of column C1. So we cannot have duplicate values in this. So we can use this constraint if in case we want only original values, not duplicate values. Because duplicate values anyways create problems, right, in a table. So let's say you have tables in an institution and you're providing roll number. So roll number you cannot have duplicate. So in those scenarios, you can use a credit card number. This is very important. So while generating the credit card number, it will not generate any number which is already assigned to someone else. So in those scenarios, we can have this type of constraint enabled on our table. Right? So any value which is already there, it will not work. 3, 8. Not work. 5, 10. All those values which you already have, we're getting this error. Unique constraint.
Hi, Gary.
Hello.
All right, so I have a question. Value 8 is not there, so why would it pick 8 and leave 1 since 1 is already a unique constraint?
If you see the table definition, only C1 column is unique, not the C2. C2 number is normal. It can have duplicate values. But C1 column is unique. So if you'll see all the values which we in the C1 column, so 1, 3, 5, it doesn't matter if you repeat 7, 8 and 10 because C2 is not unique. C2 is a normal column.
Okay, here's the thing. When you were inserting the values, you didn't select whether column C1 or C2, right? But it got inserted anyway. So that's why I'm asking. If there is no, if there is, I mean, there is no constraint with 8, why wouldn't it pick 8 and leave 1 since 1 is already a unique value?
No, because all these values will be inserted together. It's not like it will not insert this value and it will insert this value. It doesn't work this way. If you are trying to insert,
that how SQL works? Is that how Oracle works?
yes, of course you can. It's not like like you have 4 columns and out of those 2 columns are unique and not 2 columns are not unique, and you will try to insert the same values it will insert. So what about those other values? So you're saying it should ignore the one value and it should insert 7, right?
Correct.
Why? Then what is the value of the?
Because my understanding is it's 1 is a unique value, but 7 is not, because we don't see 7 in any of the columns. So if you're using a comma, like in the command that you just typed, you're using a comma to make 1, the value 1 and the value 7 unique, then it should be able to pick 1 and not the other one, which is not a constraint.
No, not a single SQL works this way, because you're planning to insert the whole query. You're not trying to insert the specific value, right? That's why otherwise, what's the benefit of using this value, this constraints? And then there is no use. We have to have all these values must match with the condition of the table. Then only it will be inserted. Otherwise, it will not insert. And it's common to all databases, not only Oracle. It will check the whole. So okay, let's say assume we have this name, roll number, and credit card number, and other columns. Now you're trying to insert the query in the table, right? So what will happen is you're saying it will insert other values. That means the C1 column will be blank for that employee. So it will not get any value. So if you try to search later on, you will not get any response back. So you'll complain that how can Oracle allow the values with duplicate values, or how can we find out, how can we search, right? So that's why this should work with all the inputs we are going to insert. Okay, so select star from P3. Now, as we have seen, we cannot have duplicate values in C1 column. Whatever values we put in C2 doesn't matter. It will only check with C1, and it will not allow the whole row to be inserted in this table. So, but unique allows null values to be inserted. Null 6, even though 6 is already there, it will allow this. Commit. So let's start from P3. So we can have null values. So that's the problem with unique constraint, that we can stop inserting null values, duplicate values, but we cannot stop null values. That's the only drawback of unique constraint, right? So we have a different way altogether to deal with this problem. So what I can do is, if I want unique and null values must not be inserted, then we can alter this table, alter table C3. Now I can add the constraint, add constraint, then constraint name, let's say not null. Then T3 underscore C1 bracket C1. Okay, we'll do that later on. Okay, first of all, we'll try to make this other column describe T3. So you'll see we have duplicate values in this column C2. So let's try to make this column also unique. Alter table T3, add constraint, and then constraint name unique underscore T3 comma C2. This is just a name. You can have any name, but having some meaningful name will help you later on if in case you get to see any problem. So add constant name, and what type of constant you're planning to apply. So unique and C2. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to apply unique constraint on this column also. As of now, only C1 is unique, not C2. So I'm trying to alter this table and planning to apply constraint on column C2. What will happen is it will check and it will find out that we have already duplicate values 6, so it cannot apply this constraint on this column, right? Because when it's going to apply this, it find out that there are already two values with same types or same values, so it will not. So it will tell you this duplicate key is found. So we have to deal with this, and then only we can have a constraint, right? So select star from T3. Select star from T3 where C1 is null, right? So delete from T3 where C1 is null. I can delete that row this way because I know only one value is there as of now, right? Because if I'll do this, delete from T3 where C2 is equal to 6. So what will happen is this row and this row both will be deleted. But I only want to delete this row. So I can type this way, delete from T3 where C2 is equal to 6 and C1 is null. So that only this row will be deleted.
Gareth, let me interrupt you again.
Mm-hmm.
With the delete command that you just typed, delete from T3 where C2 is equal to 6 and C1 is null. Can we shorten the command to say C1 equals null?
Yes, we can try. I was trying to type that query also. So delete from T3 where C1 is null. So
No, equals null.
No. Null values cannot be compared. Like null values, we cannot have equal operator.
Okay.
We cannot use C1 is equal to null. No.
Okay.
So those are the conditions. Those are the situations where Oracle doesn't work this way. So let's start from T3. So now we don't have any duplicate values. So if we'll try to use the same alter command, you see the table got altered. Describe T3. So we cannot see the constraint being applied on this. But yes, while inserting values, you will find out if there is any problem. So insert into T3 values. So if you try to insert 5, 6 again, you'll see there is an error. And even though you'll try to insert with only C2, like you can use 7, so it's a unique values for C1. But if you try to insert duplicate value for C2, it will not work because it always checks the whole query. It will check the whole query. It will not just insert this 7 and remove 6. No, it must match all the rows we already have. So one column has the problem, it will not work. That is what we have to remember. And you can say that's how the database is created. Right. So
Gary, one more thing before you move on. So what if I just type insert into T3 values 7?
okay.
If I type that, I should see 7 showing up under column C1 and C2, right?
Right.
Okay.
So it said not enough values. So the values you are going to insert must match with the columns we have.
But the value 7 is not found in both C1 and C2. So,
But how Oracle will understand that this value has to be inserted for C1 or C2?
okay. So in that case, I should type insert into T3 and name the column T1 value 7.
No, nobody. It doesn't work this way. Because when you specify values and you put columns and you put the commas, Oracle will try to compare each value with each column automatically, and then it tries to insert. You cannot type C1 is equal to 7 because it's not a right format to insert values.
So here's what I want to find out. Can I just insert a value for just one column?
No.
So in any case, you have to the insert command has to check for all the columns that you have, right?
Yes,
it has to be a complete command where you include both columns.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. If this table had 10 rows or 10 columns, you have to type 10 values. Otherwise, it will say not enough values.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so basically the thing is, normally this insert query works this way. Insert into T3, then C1, C2 values 10, 11. right? So this is what you're looking for, Mike.
Right, that's what I was talking about. So okay, so you're able to insert under one column.
Yeah, but the thing is, this column, as of now, this column does not have any conditions. So if this column had not null constraints, then it will throw an error,
Okay.
right? Because
Okay.
we cannot have null values in this column. Then you'll see there is an error, right? But this way you can insert. But try to deal with, don't insert, only one value and put all those values blank, because later on you will face problem with the performance. That's how Oracle always recommend, even though if you are planning to insert something, put null values. Don't put any value, at least put null values. Something like this. But you have to write query this way. So the query will be bigger in this case. That was the short format which I was using. Because Oracle is smart enough to find out this. But if you're planning to insert something like this, C2 values 12, null, commit, select star from P3. So even though you can't see anything, but you have null value, because it's easy to deal with null values rather than no value. Right? Select star from T3 where C2 is null. If you try to write this way, C2 is equal to null, you will see no row selected. That's why it doesn't work, because it cannot compare the value. So select star from T3 where C2 is null. You'll see two values. That's how it doesn't work this way. There is no error as such, but you cannot compare values with null. That's why we have this C2 is null. So you're getting the output. Okay, so let's deal with different table. Create table T4. Now so far we are dealing with just column name and data types and constraint definition. Now if you would like to give some definition or some name to constraint, how can we do that? So that we'll get some meaningful error, right? Some meaningful error we'll get. So create table T4, column name, data type, then constraint, then constraint name. So let's say I'm planning to have this column as unique. So I'll type unique, comma, table name T4, comma, underscore C1. So if in case if error comes, this constraint name will be displayed. So I will understand, okay, the problem is with table T4 and column C1. I can give any name XYZ, but it will not help me later on. So it's better to have something meaningful. Unique, right? So now, while creating the table, I am creating this column as unique, having this as a constraint name and constraint type. C2, let's say number. You can also have this varchar. I'm just using this number because it will help me to insert values fastly. So number, C2, number, then constant and constant name. So unique underscore T4 underscore C2 unique. Right? Table created. Describe T4. This query and this table and the previous T3 was almost same. The only difference was we did not give any name previously. We just wrote C1 number unique, C2 number bracket close. But now we are giving this name also. So insert into T4 values 1, 2, 2, 3. Commit, select star from T4. Now try to insert something already there. So 2, 4. You'll see you'll get this error now. Scott dot, this is the constraint name you defined. Unique underscore T4 underscore C1. So when you have this error, you'll understand, okay, unique is the error, and on T4 table and C1 column. So you understand that's the benefit of having constraint definition while creating your table. It will help you later on, because after 6 months or 8 months, you will not remember what you created, right? And if you have a lot of tables, then it's very tough to remember everything. So it's better to work smartly rather than say sorry lately, So that's how we have to deal with. Right, let's create one more table. T5 T5 underscore C1 unique not null T5 underscore C2. So we can have two constraints together. Unique, this column is unique, and this column has not null constraint. So if you describe T5, you see we have this not null. So this column cannot have null values, and this column cannot have null values, but it can have unique values. It's up to you what type of definition you would like to create of your table. what type of values you are dealing with. If you want null values or you want all those values should be inserted, so don't enforce any constraint. Just keep it simple. C1 number, C2 number. That's it. You can insert whatever you want. Null values, not null values, whatever. Right? You have to use constraint when you have something specific. Like you don't want any unique values, you don't want null values. Then only you have to use constraint. Otherwise, keep it simple. Define your columns, define all the columns with no constraint, and insert whatever you want. Right? These are the situation. These are the things Oracle has given to you if you have something specific. So in this, insert into T5 values 1, null. So I got this Scott T5C2, right? In case of null value, it did not pick up this name. One, 3. So unique T5 C1 violated. Right. So I'll deal with the third constraint. We have dealt with unique and not null. So unique had one problem, that it can store null values. So to deal with that, we have two options. Whether we create, first we make this column as unique, and then we apply this, when we can configure this column again with not null constraint. Or we have a different way altogether. Create table T5, sorry, T6, C1 number constraint PK. I'm putting the name of constraint PK underscore T6 underscore C1. That's the name of the constraint. Now we have a different constraint, which is primary key, comma C2 number constraint unique underscore T6 underscore C2 and unique. Bracket close. Table created, describe T6. So you'll see C1 also has this not null. So primary key is a combination of two constraints, unique plus not null. And there is one condition with primary key: we cannot have more than one table, more than one column with primary key. So we cannot create two columns with primary key. Any table can have only one primary key, and we have to use primary key on the most important column in our table, because it works differently. If we have primary key column, if you try to search something in the table where we have a lot of values, millions of rows, then primary key will work faster than any other constraint. So that's why we can only create one, right? So if you want primary key and unique values, you can combine this. So one column is primary key, and then you can have multiple columns with unique constraint. So in that case, you can secure your table with not to have null values. Not null values, duplicate values. So insert into A6 values 1, 2, now 1, null. It will throw an error, right? Just check if it works with null. Null, 2, null, 3. So you cannot insert null into column C1 because it's primary key. But you can insert like this. P6. So you can insert 1, null. Oh, sorry, 2, null. Because C2 is unique, it can support null values. Oh, select star from P6. So it can support null values. C1 cannot have duplicate values and null values both.
Gary,
Mm-hmm.
is there a way we can see? Is there a command we can use to see if C2 is really has a null value? Because when you added on sorry, when we did table T3, right, we were able to insert uh, values under one column, right? Just like above, you see T3 where you have 10 and 11, right? The 11 there next on C2, I don't think it's null. It's just blank, right? Just like it's blank on C6, table T6,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's where you have highlighted. So how do we determine that if we don't know, let's say this is a table, an existing table, and you are asked to find out, and you do the select command and you're seeing something like this. How would you be able to determine if there is a null value under C column C2?
Okay, so if you would like to find out if null values is there in C2 column,
Yes.
I told you, right? Select star from T6 where C2 is null. Oh, sorry. So it will show you this way. You can find out all those rows where you have C2 is null. This is what you're asking, right? Got it? Try to add one column, alter table T6, add C3 number. Now I can have this unique, I can have this not null. But if you don't want to put any constraint, you can just have this way. Describe T6. So we have 3 columns. Right, let's try to configure alter table T6, add constraint, right, pk underscore T6 underscore C3 primary key in bracket C3. So it says table can have only one primary key because we only have C1 with primary key constraint. So we cannot have C3 again with primary key, but we can have this column as unique.
Are you saying that C3 and C2 have null values from the described T6 that you just ran? Because
C2,
C1 is not null.
yeah, C2 is unique.
So C3 is also unique
Not
with a
now.
null.
Not now because I haven't configured anything as of now.
Okay. So what I was trying to say is, right, in some other other applications that I know of, right, you can do like a show details and it's going to tell you all the various columns or all the various configs that you have in there, and you know what actually has been configured. Is
Mm-hmm.
there a command you can just run and it will tell you what C2, give you a whole description of C2, C1, and C3, and you can quickly say, oh, this is why this command is not working, or
Yeah,
this is why I can alter.
yeah, we have this table. I'll tell you that one. We have a table where we can find out which column has what type of constraints. That's not a problem. So as of now, we are dealing with putty. We have one GUI like SQL developer. I don't know if this is the table. This is this. So this tool will help you with everything. You don't even have to execute any query. Though we have one query to find out, but we have this software given by Oracle SQL developer. Using this, we can connect to the schema, Scott, and we can get all those values, what type of values, and the column has primary key and all that. So let's see if it's working.
Okay, so this is what I was talking about. So from the command prompt, right? We don't see this, but
No.
in
We have the table also. I'm just telling you that mostly we use this type of once you actually deal with these tables and all, you'll use this tool more than putty. Why? Because in putty you have limitations to display columns, right?
right,
In case of
right.
in SQL developer, you can execute the whole query. It will display the whole. Let's say we'll deal with this. Select start from T6. Select this and press F9. So you'll see the same value, null, null, like this you're getting here.
Mm. Okay.
So you'll see 1, 2, null, null, 2, null, null.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, it doesn't show that it's null, but in SQL developer,
Right,
it will show you.
right.
So, but this way, it can tell you, see, you have configured primary key and unique.
Yes.
right? But in this, we have this query. See, anyways, whatever is working on this, that is being picked up from somewhere,
Right.
right? But this
Okay.
is the
Now.
easy way around.
Okay. I see. So this GUI is kind of user friendly because you are able to see everything in detail, right?
Right.
Tables, columns for conditions, and all that.
Right.
But so why are you hiding this from us, if I may ask?
I'm not hiding this because I want you guys to use this feature first and then this, because this is very easy,
Right.
So after this SQL part is done, I was going to tell you this, that you guys can
Okay.
use this, and moreover, I always wanted to have my output to given to you guys, which I cannot
Okay.
get this from SQL developer,
Oh, okay.
because it will remove this if I choose a different table T3,
Mm-hmm.
then my previous query is gone, so I cannot give you guys
Oh,
this output.
right. Right.
That's the thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. And I think you missed. I think the initial classes. I did not hide this. It was like not used by me much, because I don't use this much. Any GUI thing I don't use much, because these are the things that will make you so lazy, and you will not even bother about much running queries through Putty,
Okay.
because not all the clients will use this, right? Being a DBA,
Mm.
you should be more dependent upon Putty than this, because if you are a developer, then I can understand that you will use this much. But if you're a DBA, you will
Mm-hmm.
use this thing, then this thing. But if you're a developer, you're working only on queries, and then I can say yes, you should solely dependent upon this tool, right?
Okay.
So that's the thing. And we have, if I'm telling you now this, we have one more tool which is Toad, given by Dell. Toad software. You will see other companies are using Toad also,
Yeah.
right? But the only thing is Toad is not free. SQL Developer is free, given by Oracle. You can download and install this, and you can connect to any databases. But Toad is
Mm.
not. Even though Toad is more user friendly, but they both have the same feature. So Toad for Oracle, you can use this one also. You'll find a few companies are using Toad also instead of SQL Developer. So this is a table, user constraint, which you can use to find out that TF6 has this constant name, and it's primary and unique. The same thing you are getting from SQL Developer, you can use this table also. And this is the definition. So you can also find this way. So I taken all 3-4 columns out of it, because if I display all columns, the values will be scattered on the screen and will not be able to find out output in a good way. That's the only situation I would prefer to use SQL Developer than this body. Okay, guys. So I think we're good for today, and we'll deal with next things tomorrow. If you guys come on a little bit early, that will be good. Okay, guys. So we'll catch up tomorrow then. Take care.
All right. Thank you very much.
No problem. Take care. Bye-bye.